So now we're going to go into this petition. This petition was made by Roberto Mata, and he's a guy from Puerto Rico. And the funny thing is, Roberto here has been he's been a fan, or at least he acknowledges us for the most part, of the Marks here. He's been posting on our YouTube page way before this. He actually sent us this petition on November 11th on our Instagram. This is 5 days before the movie even came out.
Which was news to me. I recall seeing the petition. He posted it on our YouTube page. And then I recall seeing it in our DMs. He was sliding up in our DMs on Instagram.
Well, the thing was, apparently he's not a friend of ours on here. And I didn't realize... I'm not very social media savvy. I know how to post at this point, and I'm very good. I'm not very good at this stuff. I know
you make it work.
I know Instagram. I hate Twitter. I don't know Facebook. I get lost on Facebook. It pisses me off all the time. But then I noticed like this thing that said request in our DMs, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I just never went back to it, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means. And eventually I clicked on it, and it was Roberto. And so he was sending us stuff. And
if anyone is interested, he's Roberto Mata. That's Mata. I'm probably butchering it, so I apologize. .dceu, and he's on Instagram. I think he has the same handle on YouTube as well. If you want to follow him on,
I know his name is there. Just look in our some of our comment section and stuff like that. Even older ones. He's been sending us messages, and he's even been commenting on some of our stuff in our posts on Instagram. And he sent us this on November 11th, which was 5 days before. Which I find is funny because I saw a lot of the articles saying this petition started up right after the movie was released, and I look at this, I'm like, no, he had this petition going up 5 days before the movie was released. Because as soon as you know it was a 2 hour cut, you knew it wasn't a Snyder Cut. So he immediately jumped on that. I will give him this, because Shane and I have kind of a look on petitions, but we'll get it. Compared to the numbskulls that tried to get Rotten Tomatoes banned or whatever the hell it was last year, where it was where the grammatical the grammar of it was just so bad, and it was just so poorly worded. This petition, this dude, when he leaves comments on our stuff, they're usually novels. And I can see why. This dude is a writer. Like, this is a professional petition. This petition is fascinating to read because it is so well laid out.
And as Matt said, 5 days before the movie came out. So he was already on top of it.
And it's just the way it is presented, and it's presented in such a professional fashion. It is amazing to read this, how well it's worded. There's no grammatical mistakes. It just looks professional as hell, and it is very convincing when you read it. It really gets you going. Like, he's right. There's another great point. That's another great point. He's just slam dunking it constantly over and over again in the petition. The problem is, it's a petition.
Yeah.
And change.org and all that shit, it really means diddly squat.
In our opinion. Someone could have a difference in opinion.
I signed it.
Yeah.
I signed it. I signed
which
it
is awesome.
Just to kind of encourage things along a little bit. The
Marks
are behind you on this.
He's got 149,418. Actually, it's still going up as we're talking.
It's going up.
Yeah.
It's going up.
149, 424, 427. 428, 29, 30. Anyways, he has.
Oh, it's going down.
He's almost getting to 150,000, which that speaks, pretty high volumes.
That he got it so fast. I will say that there's obviously a passion. There's obviously a group of people out there that want this done. We want it done in some form or fashion. If it's like what we were talking about earlier with the Donner cut, if it's like that, that's fine. I just want to see what the story was originally supposed to be.
Yeah, so
I don't need the CGI.
Right,
I really don't need the CGI.
Yep.
Well, I would like the CGI.
Yeah, especially from Snyder. But I just want to know what the story was so that I can completely forget about the theatrical release. And then
and that's the big reason why I think they won't do it, is because you will forget about the theatrical release, and it completely breaks up the continuity of their shitty universe they've made so far. Because with Justice League, they completely neutered their universe and ended it in such a fashion. If you make a cut like this, it's just going to bring up a bunch of speculation afterwards, especially because what we were talking about with that VFX guy, if he is right at all, the way Superman is brought back is completely different. And you can't, I don't know if you can really have a cut out there where Superman is brought in two different ways. It makes it look, I don't know, inconsistent.
We kind of had a discussion. A discussion via text message, and I feel like that the chances of that getting referenced currently in the current state that it is in,
I can see it being referenced a lot in Man of Steel 2. If they do a Man of Steel 2,
I could see him coming back. Just the fact of him being back. Oh, you were dead at some point. That's it. That all they have to do is just leave it to little details. Because the level
of confusion that was, if that VFX guy's right, the confusion and the manipulation he had between the mother of the mother boxes, and then in this one where he was just like running off of emotions is different. Like it's like a completely different person because he was being manipulated in one, and the other one he's just confused.
But they don't have to. I'm talking about future films. They don't have to reference anything. If he's not knocking down buildings and killing a bunch of people again, if it's just within the Justice League, all you have to reference is that he fought the Justice League, and or the remaining members. He was brought back to life. That's it. You don't really have to reference that how he was brought back. And I don't see them.
I think there's a mental stability question going on if he's being manipulated by one person at one time or if he's not in another version. That's what I'm talking about. There's a fucking up there. He's becoming Batman. He's getting fucked in the mind. And
sure.
And the other one he's not. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no,
Lois would be like, "Are you still there?" And could he have a fit of rage or something?
Well, that would be cool if Snyder were to take that and if it were to be referenced. What I'm saying is that I don't feel that it really needs to, and so that they could release a completely different version of the film. And moving forward, they are completely undecided if did Wonder Woman give up on humanity? Did she not? Because Gal Gadot in interviews is saying no, we're just totally discrediting that line. Right. And then now all of a sudden in the film in Justice League they're re-referencing it again. It's like they're totally confused. So I feel like they would be okay releasing two different versions as long as what is referenced moving forward is very limited. You just have to be careful of, like, if they give Snyder another shot, which I doubt it, but if they do, and he's the type of person who likes to incorporate details and likes to, tie the bow on certain stories, yeah, he may want to reference it again, maybe use different things. I feel like as long as they just reference, hey, he was brought back to life, he was dead at some point, maybe they fill in, a little bit of like, oh, how is Clark back? And then they move on from that. You could have two different versions of what goes down.
The problem, and the other problem is that this movie set up origins, and people in the other three remaining Justice League that haven't had an origin movie yet. Situation: Iris West with Barry Allen. You have to be locked in. If you show that, you're gonna have to be locked into that scenario of how Barry met Iris, and then Cyborg. He's gonna be locked into that situation where it shows his backstory and that car crash and everything. It takes away from the origin movie for Cyborg. That takes away from the origin movie of Flash. And then Aquaman has all the moments down in Atlantis talking to the people. So that will take moments away if they plan to use something like that in the Aquaman movie. That takes away from that. That's why I don't think we're going to get this. So they're going to take because that's going to fuck up the continuity.
Well, the cool part would be is if they actually use those scenes, kind of like what I spoke about earlier, if they use them as flashbacks, a finished scene, and we have seen in the Justice League Snyder version, we've seen that scene, we've seen that clip, in its unfinished version, and kind of got an idea. They do have to stick to some of that because some of it's been referenced, like the car accident. For Cyborg, it's been referenced, it just hasn't been shown. Right. Now, if they show it, they have to figure out what to do moving forward. You could use the same type of what happened, almost the same scene of he was in a car accident. Snyder's version showed it. We're going to show it as a flashback. It will be completed. Same thing with Iris West. That stuff is kind of out there already. Unless they just want to, which this would not surprise me, to your point, if they want to completely kibosh all of that and say, no, fuck it, we're just going to move along this side.
Well, that's what I think they're going to do.
I agree with you. And I think even in our discussion via text message that I was agreeing that, yes, I feel like that is what they're going to do. I'm arguing they could, if they wanted to, if the executives were smart and they wanted to service us and 150,000 other people that really want this version, they can make it done.
I could see them releasing a Blu-ray. This is a very small possibility. They could release the Blu-ray called the Unofficial Cut. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can see that, but I don't think they would use the time to edit and everything to synchronize these. They would just have a loaded deleted scene. That's all that's what I'm picturing.
Yeah,
they're just
going
to load the shit out of the deleted scenes, and that's what you're going to have to use. You can piece it together from yourself. We'll probably have people out there that will re-edit the movie then and combine those scenes in
would be fucking
to finish
fantastic.
the movie.
Yep. And in today's day and age, I would love that. And I guess it would just be up to the viewer what choice they decide to have in, or what version they decide to go with in their own mind of, okay, because right now, and you were clearly dissatisfied with the Justice League version and how much shit was left open.
Right.
And I've listened to our spoiler review to know what I'm talking about if you haven't yet. But Matt he has all these lists of stuff, which I completely agreed with as well. But he goes on to talk about all these different things of like, you didn't talk about this. You didn't touch on this. Why did the sand rise from the casket? Like, not even just small things like that. A lot of things like, oh, Lois was the key. Well, thanks for the fucking clue. You know, just shit like that. And I feel like whether it's deleted scenes or however they decide to release it, as long as it gets put out there officially, you know, by WB, not with, you know, a little thing in front of it. I don't even know what it says, but like, you know, there's some words in front of the deleted scenes that we've seen so far. They, I think, are trying to block it from getting pulled down or whatever. But if they were to release some version in deleted scenes in a full movie cut, then they could leave it up to the viewer to be like, okay, how do you interpret this? And then they could tie a bow on Justice League and move on from there. And maybe they reference certain things, maybe they don't. I feel like they could, if they wanted to, and they probably make a shit ton of money doing it, they could release the Snyder version and just move on, you know, nicely in their own way.
I can see WB being super greedy do a Justice League cut. And what I think what we're going to get, this is what I think we're honestly going to get, and this is my personal opinion, I have nothing to really back this up on, I'm just going by what I saw in trailers and so forth. I think, and what I think WB will do is that we'll get a like 2 hour and 10 to 15 minute cut. And I think what we'll get is all the scenes that are already rendered and already CGI'd, like the ones we saw in the trailers, like Cyborg flying upwards out of that tunnel, and then the mask goes over his face and he shoots up over the moon and stuff. You can obviously tell that's the end of it right after Aquaman first appears and they escape the water rising. Right. You could tell that's right after that when he shoots up, but they just cut it immediately as he goes to get the mother box.
Right.
So they might let that play out now. We might get a little bit of extra action like we saw with Jason Momoa pitchforking the shit out of the... doing a nice little shish kebab on the parademons.
Right.
We might get the little bit extra where I saw one where, you know, Jason Momoa's Aquaman is in the back of a truck drinking fucking beer and shit.
Right.
We might get those little extra scenes peppered throughout the movie. It might extend it 10 to 15 minutes, but I think that's the best we're going to get. I don't think we're going to get the origins of any of the characters or the things that establish those characters in the universe, because I think this is originally what Justice League or what Warner Brothers wanted. Was to bare minimum, surface level, cut that stuff out, save it for the future movies, because we don't need, again, as some people have complained about, a movie with 6 layers on it like Batman vs. Superman, where we have so many different aspects going on, building so much in a certain amount of time, so they condensed it into what everybody apparently wanted with Batman vs. Superman, where it should have just been Batman vs. Superman, and we got just Justice League. And now people are bitching because we got just Justice League, which is just fascinating to see how fickle people are.
Yeah.
It's just...
never happy. It doesn't matter. That's exactly why I asked the question to Nick. If he thinks, if the pendulum swings completely the other way and they go completely Marvel, is that just going to be a Marvel ripoff? And that's why I asked that question, because I feel like no matter what, we've already got the bitching of the after credit scenes. Now they're just ripping off Marvel. Did you want?
Well, there was another speculation on the after. There was another after credit scene. I just remembered that as you said that. There was originally, apparently, this was deleted early on in post, according to speculation. Again, this is pretty much all hearsay for the most part, except for our personal opinions peppered in here. Apparently, Bruce Wayne was going to be visited by Tomar-Re and Kilowog, 2 Green Lanterns, and they were going to just visit him, and they were going to tell him there's a bigger threat. Oh, that was another thing also that was cut out, apparently, according to this guy. Darkseid did appear in that version.
Yes.
And he actually kills Steppenwolf on Apocalypse after it's not the Parademons that go up, take him up into the boom tube. It's Darkseid that comes down, sees the Justice League, snatches Steppenwolf, drags him back up to Apocalypse, and actually kills Steppenwolf and Apocalypse.
So much better.
Oh my god, that sounds fucking awesome. And apparently, you know, it has this whole dialogue with Darkseid talking about wanting to meet this Kryptonian, and I'm just like, I heard that. Again, if these are great writers or not, I don't know. But just like, just Darkseid mumbling, I want to meet the Kryptonian. I'll be like,
oh my god, orgasm everywhere. Choo choo choo. But I feel like it's probably a mixture. There, you know, people could be exaggerating certain things, but when I was reading the Reddit post, it seemed to fit. Like I could picture Snyder putting all of that
between
in his
the
movie.
Trailers and just how well it fit and what it matched to the previous movies, how it functioned. Like there's even talking about the reason for the Codex is the way it actually helps.
Right. Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was actually one of the big reasons why they were able to bring Clark Superman back, was because the Codex's unidentified DNA, like it was keeping him technically alive.
Yes.
And yeah,
it's fucking awesome. Which is like, that's such a small detail that why do we have to have this very simplistic
if it's
basic
right
movie? Yes.
We don't know.
But the fact that was incorporated, I was like, oh fuck yes, that would have been awesome. And yeah, like you said, if it's right, if that actually is something, but if it's not, whoever came up with that idea I think is fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, they should be writing for WB then.
Yes. Yeah, at this point.
If they're able to just pull that shit out of their ass, that's pretty fucking crazy. So this petition, hopefully it accomplishes something. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it still shows there's some unity. You know, unite the 150,000 that want to see this movie as of now.
Yeah, I absolutely love and appreciate the enthusiasm and the boots on the ground approach by Roberto Mata, however you pronounce your last name. That's so awesome. And that's kind of the extent I read his petition, and you know, as you kind of touched on earlier, petitions are what they are, and who knows if they actually do any good. But the fact that someone is out there pushing this and it's gaining traction is cool to see. Like, that's awesome that 150,000 people agree with us and should follow us on YouTube and subscribe.
They may not even be Zack Snyder fans, but people just want to see what the original version was probably supposed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this thing was a beautifully worded petition. I am literally in awe on how well it was written. So all whatever positive things I can possibly say about Roberto here on that one.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to point out, I was texting you last night, was John Campea, a guy that is the head Collider. Back in the day, John Campea on AMC used to be the guy that don't fall for clickbait, don't fall for fake articles, he didn't want to do scoops and stuff like that. He used to be this prominent guy and like, you know what, just wait and see the movie. Don't listen to a bunch of speculation. He used to be this figure that I kind of respected a little bit, that he stood out there. He was popular for the somewhat and stood his ground on situations and said, you know what, don't be stupid about stuff like this. But obviously he's gotten the touch of, like, you know, shitting on DC or saying things about DC, and he's basically hit with the money bug, I think, on this one, or, you know, the revenue bug on this, because where he's popping out nonstop about DC stuff. He's Twitter on his personal YouTube page. He talks about stuff on Collider. He's constantly ramping that stuff up, and it's brought up constantly by him. It's always like 5 things wrong with the DC, 5 things wrong with Justice League. Right. Just all these different things he constantly keeps bringing up. Well, apparently, in my opinion, he got trolled. He obviously got trolled. Somebody signed him up for the petition, which I think is funny. And I'm sorry, if someone did that to us, like, we got the email, comic movie marks, thank you for signing, I would laugh my ass off. Seriously. I would laugh my ass off. Shane and Matt. I would laugh if someone did that, because that's just funny. It's like, wow, all right, cool, whatever. I mean, it's just a public, right. Gmail that we put out there. You put your Gmail out there, you put your name out there. It's clearly trolling, and basically he lambasted, saying that a lot of these signatures must be fake, because I just got this email. People are using fake emails, or people not using participants. People are not participating in this, but they're getting signed up for it. Mm-hmm. And he just put it out on Twitter and just let it float out there, and just kind of, I don't know. He's demoralizing the movement a little bit. You know, he's bringing it down a little bit, and I thought that was kind of like stupid. It's really, really stupid. But Roberto Mata, he on his Instagram, he put up a post, and again, very well put. This guy is very good with words, unlike me. And he basically put up, a professional movie critic or simply an adult would have seen a troll signature and ignored it, but he had to make a statement in an obvious attempt to discredit the petition and gain views, because that's how, unfortunately, controversy works. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Very well put. The guy could have just ignored it, but no, he brings it up. He tries to make a scene out of it. He's trying to engage. He's starting these fucking stupid fights that he used to rail against about Marvel and DC fans and stuff. And he sends that shit out, and it's just starting up stupid fights of people like, why are you delusional fans wanting this Snyder Cut? Can't you just realize Justice League was terrible? And I was just like scrolling through the comments. So you're just feeding into this now, where you used to be a guy, a proponent against this stuff, and now you have officially become it. And it just sucks. That's what sucks about movie critics, and sometimes people in general. They go against something so much, and then unfortunately they become a hypocrite, and they become the problem. It really sucks. But Roberto's comment back to it, I thought was very, very...
Yeah, very well put. For someone who is from Puerto Rico, he speaks way more intelligently than most Americans.
Than you and I combined.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, that's clear. That goes.
That's a low bar.
Yeah.
My bad. Again, like, even if you disagree with the petition, you have to read that petition, because it's fascinating how well it is put out and laid out. It's a story almost. It's a story of how DC fans, or just fans and superhero fans in general, might have felt about this Justice League cut. It's like a story. It's just it's very, 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 very well put.